Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stoic Wisdom today, where we pause the noise of the world to hear the timeless voice within. Let me ask you something important, and I want you to sit with it for a second. Have you been living, or just performing? When was the last time you felt enough, without needing to prove it? And what would your life feel like if you finally stopped seeking approval? We live in a world where performance has become our default. We perform on social media. We perform at work. Sometimes we even perform in front of the people we love, trying to seem stronger, smarter, more valuable than we feel. But deep down, something's missing. The truth is, the more we perform for others, the more distant we become from ourselves. But what if I told you that real confidence, the kind that's unshakable, doesn't come from applause, praise, or perfection. It comes from alignment. It comes from living your truth quietly, not loudly. It comes from knowing your worth and no longer needing to sell it to anyone. That's what this video is about. Today we'll explore the Stoic view of confidence, a kind of calm power that's built on clarity, not chaos. We'll uncover why we fall into the trap of proving ourselves, how Stoics viewed inner strength, and what specific practices can help you live from your worth, not chase it. So take a breath, drop the armor, and let's begin. Not by adding anything to yourself, but by returning to what's already there. Part 1, why we feel the need to prove ourselves. Let's be honest, most of us grew up holding invisible scorecards. From a young age, we learned how approval works. Praise when you perform well, disappointment when you don't. Gold stars, high grades, the proud look from a parent. These weren't just rewards, they became identity. We were taught, worth is earned, not inherent. You must outperform to be accepted. You are what others validate. So what do? We hustle. We strive, we try to be everything for everyone. We overachieve to be seen. Over-explain to be understood, over-give to be loved, and slowly, silently, we undertrust ourselves. We lose the quiet voice within, the one that says, you're okay as you are. Let me tell you a story. James is a mid-40s tech executive in San Francisco. On paper, he's thriving. Ivy League degree, 7-figure income, family status. But at night, when the house is quiet, he scrolls through LinkedIn and feels behind. Everyone looks more accomplished, more certain, more together. That gnawing sense of inadequacy, it's not about comparison. It's about a lifetime of conditioning that says you are only as good as your last win. James is trying to earn peace, but peace isn't a performance, it's a practice. And worth isn't awarded, it's remembered. Even everyday interactions reveal our need for validation. You say no to an invitation, then feel the need to explain why. You accomplish something small, but instantly wonder if it's post-worthy. Why? Because our self-concept is tethered to feedback. We're stuck in a loop of proving, performing, polishing. And let's be real, this doesn't just live in our minds. It's baked into our culture. Look at job interviews, tell us why we should choose you. Or dating apps, market yourself with the perfect profile. Even parenting gets graded now, publicly, one Instagram post at a time. We've been sold the myth that validation equals value. But the Stoics? They invite us to step off the stage. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. There's profound liberation in that. Imagine waking up and realizing, I don't need to impress today. I just need to live well. And this isn't just for high achievers. Stay-at-home parents, freelancers, students, all of us feel the pressure to justify our worth. But the moment we stop chasing external validation, we begin recovering something priceless, our inner compass. When you're always trying to be impressive, you're rarely being honest. And the more time you spend rehearsing a version of yourself, the less time you have to actually be yourself. The Stoics teach, if you're constantly seeking approval, you're handing over your peace. So the first step toward confidence isn't louder self-belief. It's unlearning the lie that you need to earn your place. You're not on trial. you're already worthy. Part 2. The Stoic view of confidence. What does true confidence look like? In today's culture, confidence is often mistaken for charisma. We tend to associate it with loud voices, bold gestures, and the ability to dominate a room. The more someone speaks, the more confident they must be, right? But the Stoics would disagree. They saw confidence not as something you show to the world, but something you live with quietly. Stoic confidence isn't loud, flashy, dependent on applause or recognition. It is rooted in personal values, anchored in self-awareness, unshaken by external validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men of his time, once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This quote strikes a nerve, because it's still true. We live our lives craving approval from others, while ignoring the quiet wisdom within ourselves. The Stoics saw that real confidence comes from knowing what you stand for. It's not about impressing others, it's about living in alignment with your principles, even when no one notices. Let's take a moment and imagine two co-workers. One constantly boasts about their accomplishments, interrupts meetings, and posts every small win online. The other works steadily, speaks when necessary, and gives credit more than they take it. One seeks attention, the other seeks truth. Which one feels more secure to you? That quiet confidence, that's what the Stoics admired. A calm, centered presence that doesn't need to prove anything. Seneca said, "A man who is not disturbed by what others think is truly powerful." And that power isn't built in a moment. It's built over time through small acts of integrity. Think about how this looks in everyday life. Saying, "I don't know," in a meeting instead of faking certainty. Choosing to listen more than speak. Standing by your decision even when others disapprove. Declining an invitation without feeling guilty. Staying off social media when you don't feel like performing. These aren't grand gestures, they're everyday examples of strength. Quiet strength, strength that doesn't collapse when ignored. The Stoics weren't interested in attention, they were interested in virtue. True confidence to them was a byproduct of self-respect. You don't beg for approval when you approve of yourself. You don't chase applause when your conscience is clear. And perhaps the most radical thing? You learn to be okay with being misunderstood. You don't need everyone to get it. You don't need to explain your worth. You just live it. That's Stoic confidence. Not shouted, not staged, but steady. And that kind of strength? It doesn't fade when the spotlight moves. It only grows. Part 3. Practices to live from worth, not prove it. Now that we understand the Stoic view of confidence, quiet, rooted, and steady, the next question is, how do we build it? Philosophy is only powerful when it becomes practice, and Stoicism is nothing if not practical. It doesn't ask you to memorize quotes or master theories. It asks you to live differently. So here are 6 Stoic-inspired practices that help you stop performing and start embodying your worth. 1. Do the right thing, even if no one sees it. Your worth isn't proved in moments of applause. It's forged in quiet consistency, like the person who returns a shopping cart in the rain even when no one is watching, or the worker who cleans up after a meeting without credit. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. This is your compass. Don't act for praise, act from principle. 2. Say no, without explanation. How often do we decline something and then pile on excuses? I can't because I have this or that, I'm so sorry. But here's a powerful shift. Say no. Full stop. A Stoic doesn't feel guilty for protecting their time, energy, or peace. They understand that a boundary isn't a rejection, it's an affirmation of values. You don't owe a story, you owe yourself honesty. 3. Journal your inner victories. We often measure success by results, followers, income, trophies. But what if you started tracking moments of integrity instead? The time you didn't gossip, the time you spoke up kindly but firmly, the moment you chose reflection over reaction. Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Journaling helps you witness your own growth in real time. 4. Stop over-explaining yourself. When you trust your choices, you no longer feel the need to defend them. If you switch careers, leave a relationship, or change your mind, that's your right. Stoic confidence means owning your path without needing to convince others it's valid. Let your life speak. 5. Let silence speak for you. The world often equates noise with value. We rush to fill awkward silences, overpost, overtalk, oversell. But silence can be power. When you're grounded, you don't panic when there's a pause. You rest in it. You allow space. You listen. Confidence isn't needing to be heard all the time. It's knowing your presence speaks even when your mouth doesn't. 6. Choose alignment over admiration. This one's hard. We all want to be liked. But if you're constantly adjusting yourself to earn love, you'll lose yourself in the process. Stoic practice means asking, am I doing this because it's right for me or because it will please them? You may disappoint others, but if you don't disappoint yourself, you're winning. These 6 practices aren't quick fixes. They're lifelong disciplines. But each time you apply one, you reclaim a bit more inner power. And the beauty? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Confidence isn't a feeling, it's a foundation. One you build with each decision to trust your values over your fears. Live from worth, not from needing to prove it. That's Stoic practice. And over time, it becomes your natural state. Part 4. Stoic confidence feels like this. We've talked about what Stoic confidence is. We've explored how to practice it. But what does it actually feel like when you begin to live from your worth? This part isn't about theory. It's about embodiment. Because true confidence doesn't just change your behavior, it changes your nervous system. So let's slow down and imagine what Stoic confidence really feels like in daily life. 1. It feels calm, not anxious. You stop rushing to fill every gap with noise. You don't feel the urgency to explain yourself or be liked in every room you walk into. You begin to experience a deeper stillness, not because life gets quieter, but because you do. It feels like walking into a meeting and not needing to prove you belong there. You already know you do. 2. It feels clear, not confused. When you start living from your values, decision-making becomes simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You're no longer pulled in 20 directions by what everyone else thinks you should do. A Stoic doesn't ask, will they approve? They ask, is this aligned with my principles? That's clarity. And clarity is confidence. 3. It feels quiet, not performative. There's no longer a need to announce every move. You stop chasing praise. You begin finding joy in things that don't need an audience. It's the moment you walk away from a toxic conversation and don't feel the need to post about it. It's enjoying an act of kindness without needing a thank you. 4. It feels solid, not shaken. Stoic confidence feels like an inner anchor. Life still throws waves at you, criticism, rejection, disappointment, but you don't get tossed around. Because you're not building your identity on likes or opinions. You're building it on something far more stable, your own character. When you hear gossip about yourself, you don't panic. You pause. You check, did I act with integrity? If yes, then let the noise pass. 5. It feels less dramatic, more peaceful. The emotional roller coaster starts to flatten. Highs are still joyful but not addictive. Lows are still difficult but not defining. You respond rather than react. You stop performing crisis. You start practicing stability. Confidence isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about trusting yourself even when doubt appears. 6. It feels like asking better questions. You no longer ask, do they like me? Instead you ask, am I proud of how I showed up today? You no longer chase, what should I post to stay relevant? You ask, what matters to me even if no one sees it? That shift is massive, and it rewires everything. Stoic confidence isn't a mask. It's not an aesthetic. It's a quiet power that lives beneath the surface, steady, grounded, real. It's the confidence of someone who doesn't enter rooms trying to win them. They enter with peace and let that do the talking. So if you've ever wondered what self-worth feels like, it feels like this. Calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, depth over display, and a quiet mind that knows I am enough, no applause necessary. Part 5. Stoic phrases that reflect confidence. Words matter, especially the ones we say to ourselves. The Stoics knew that language, when repeated over time, shapes character. That's why their writings weren't meant to impress, but to remind. Stoic philosophy was filled with simple, powerful phrases, short enough to remember, deep enough to live by. And if you're building confidence that doesn't rely on proving yourself, having a few of these phrases in your pocket can change everything. Here are 7 Stoic-style affirmations to reflect and embody quiet confidence. 1. I am not here to convince. I'm here to be. This is a radical shift. Most people enter conversations trying to win approval, but the Stoic walks in not needing to persuade, not because they're arrogant, but because they trust their presence speaks for itself. This phrase reminds you, you don't need to argue to exist. 2. My worth is not on trial. You are not in a courtroom. You are not pleading your case. Every time you start over-explaining, apologizing for being yourself, or chasing validation, repeat this. You don't need more evidence. You need more alignment. 3. What I do in silence matters. Not every act needs an audience. True confidence finds satisfaction in doing the right thing quietly, returning your shopping cart, sending a kind message with no expectation, choosing restraint when you could lash out. These are wins, even if no one sees them. 4. Let my values speak louder than my voice. This is the foundation of Stoic leadership. You don't need to shout to be heard. When your actions are in line with your principles, people feel it. Live in such a way that others feel your integrity, even in your silence. 5. Confidence is my clarity, not their response. Most of us feel confident only when others affirm us. But what happens when they don't? Stoic confidence says, I am clear in my choices. Their reaction is not my report card. 6. I don't chase recognition. I return to principle. This phrase is an anchor. When you find yourself spiraling, trying to get likes, approval, applause, come back to this. The goal is not to be seen. The goal is to be aligned. 7. I am already enough. I act accordingly. This isn't just positive thinking. It's a challenge to live like someone who doesn't need to prove anything. You don't shrink. You don't exaggerate. You just show up, fully, honestly. Use these phrases like mental armor. Write them down. Journal with them. Speak them in moments of doubt. The more you repeat them, the more natural they feel. Until one day you're not just saying them, you're living them. That's the Stoic way. Fewer words, deeper meaning. Less noise, more presence. Confidence not as performance, but as quiet truth. Part 6. Conclusion. Walk in quiet power. Let's return to the beginning. We started with a simple but confronting question. Are you living or performing? Maybe like most people, you've been stuck in the loop of trying to prove you matter, trying to impress, trying to earn your worth. And maybe, just maybe, you're exhausted. If so, you're not alone. The world constantly tells us, be more, show more, prove more. But Stoicism offers something different, something deeper. It whispers, you don't have to prove your worth. You just have to live from it. That's Stoic confidence. Not loud, not performative, but quiet, grounded, steady. It's the kind of confidence that comes when you stop seeking validation and start seeking alignment. When you stop shaping yourself to be liked and start shaping yourself to be true. So what would your life look like if you stopped trying to win everyone's approval? What would it feel like to trust your inner compass more than external noise? What kind of peace could you experience if you let go of the need to convince and simply lived your values fully and unapologetically? Here's the truth. You don't need to be louder to be stronger. You don't need to be noticed to be valuable. You don't need to be perfect to be enough. The Stoics didn't chase applause, they chased virtue. They didn't decorate their self-worth, they discovered it in silence. And now, so can you. Oh, you're the rest. So today and every day after, I invite you to choose quiet power over noisy performance. Know your worth. Live from it. Let go of the rest. Let your life speak louder than your defense. Let your values shine brighter than your voice. Let your alignment be your confidence. Because in the end, the most unshakable confidence isn't something you wear, it's something you embody. Thank you for spending this time with Stoic Wisdom today. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. What part of this video resonated most with you? Did it shift the way you think about confidence or self-worth? Which practice or phrase will you carry into your day? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, insights, or even doubts about what we covered today, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'll do my best to respond and help you apply this in your own journey. If this message resonated with you, comment below. I live from my worth. And as always, stay grounded, stay wise, and stay stoic.